Today, we are taking a hands-on and lab-tested look at Delight, Elehear's latest earbud-style hearing aid. Now, we've been keeping a close eye on Elehear, and they're one of the few OTC companies consistently offering strong value with reliable devices and respectable audio performance based on our testing in the sub-$700 price range. However, does Delight continue that trend? Let's find out. So in this video, I'll walk through the unboxing, my app experiences, real-world use, and objective lab results from HearAdvisor. And as always, we'll include some sound samples so you can hear what Delight sounds like with your own ears. Now, there's much I'd love to share about Delight, but one headliner, I suppose, is price. We're unfortunately still seeing many OTC hearing aids around or above the $1,000 price range, which really doesn't make sense to me. So a sub $400 price tag is a great starting point. Now we're going to get to the heart of whether Delight help make speech clear, but before we get too far, I wanted to share some of their just general product specs with you, and you can see those now across the bottom of the screen. While we will get into various components of this throughout this video, let's now look at our scorecard, which summarizes all of our testing. Overall, Delight received a hearing tracker score of 4.3 out of 5, placing it solidly in the upper tier of OTC hearing aids. Okay, so now let's take a look at what you get in the box. Inside, you'll find the Delight hearing aids and their portable charging case. It's compact, it feels well built, and it will easily fit in your pocket. Battery life is rated at around 13.5 hours per charge, and the case provides 2 additional charges. So realistically, this is something you can throw in your pocket for a weekend trip without having to worry about power. Charging is straightforward. Just plug in the USB-C cable and a full charge will take about 1.5 hours. Taking a closer look at Delight, they magnetically snap into place. They are ear specific, so you'll want to make sure they're seated correctly. Otherwise, they won't charge. In terms of size, Delight are fairly compact. Here's how they compare to Apple AirPods Pro and Elehear's Beyond Pro. You'll also notice these small ear wings, which are an interesting design choice. Now, these help you with retention, and they also give you something to grip when inserting or removing Elehear Delight from your ears. Elehear also provides multiple ear tips and ear wing sizes, so you can customize the fit to your ears. Not that it's groundbreaking, but you'll also find a cleaning tool and USB cable, though no wall adapter was included. With some of those basics out of the way, let's talk about touch controls. A quick double tap to the outer faceplate lowers volume, and a long press increases it. In theory, that's simple, but in practice, I ran into some issues. If your hearing is fairly symmetrical, which is common, you'll likely want both the left and right hearing aids linked. I'll show you how to do this in the app in just a moment. However, using the touch controls actually splits that link and adjusts volume on just the one side you tapped. There are situations where independent controls is useful, but for me, and how I suspect most people may use them, this ended up feeling a bit clunky. Switching gears, Delight supports Bluetooth app control on both Apple and Android devices, and overall the Elehear app is quite well done. It offers a lot of features without feeling overly complicated. The main settings screen gives you control over volume and tone, and this is really the meat and potatoes of your sound customization. You'll also find different listening modes, though in my experience, the default automatic mode works well for most situations. And I'd say the same goes for noise control. The adaptive settings struck the best balance, as lowering settings introduced some hiss, while higher settings became a bit aggressive and produced noticeable swooshing artifacts. Next up is the Serene tab, which is Elehear's tinnitus masker. I actually liked the ability to layer and mix different environmental sounds. This is really a nice touch if you are looking to try and better manage your tinnitus with a masker. Now, tinnitus is a world of topics of its own, and if you'd like to learn more, our friend Matthew also has a series of videos on the topic. There are also several additional features, including an AI assistant, translation tool, and sound level meter. There's also a remote sound capture feature that turns your phone into a remote microphone. Now, that last feature is useful in theory, But in my testing, the latency or delay was significant enough that it's not practical for most real-world uses. For example, I measured a latency or delay of almost half a second, which sounds roughly like what you're hearing right now. And that will make it very difficult for you to use this feature, say, to hear someone across the room or even stream sound from your television. One more interesting yet hidden feature is something called Elehear. This feature allows you to take a hearing test or upload an existing audiogram and receive recommended settings from Elehear's remote providers. There are some clear pros here. It definitely helps reduce the guesswork of self-fitting and even small recommendations like what ear tip you should use. And this can make a really big difference in your overall experiences. But there are also some limitations. Elehear and their Audiologist plan program is still remote care, and communication happens through the app, or at least in my case, there was also email correspondence. So it's not the same as in-person care. While testing Elehear Delight and this Elehear feature, we also noticed something else when doing our lab testing. So let's get to that. If you're not familiar with how we evaluate hearing aids, HearAdvisor is a portion of our testing, and this is our objective lab where we use industry standard tests to predict real-world performance for a common age-related hearing loss. All devices are tested under the same conditions, allowing for more fair comparisons. Here are Delight's results across HearAdvisor's 5 sound quality metrics. You may notice that both the initial and tuned scores are identical, and that's because further adjustments beyond that initial fit didn't improve performance. So you can think of the initial and tuned as being identical. Overall, we saw respectable speech performance, particularly in quieter environments, and Delight ultimately received an A sound grade. So this brings up the question, how does Elehear Delight compare to Elehear's other receiver in canal hearing aid, Beyond Pro? Well, Beyond Pro performs better in more challenging listening environments, and this is likely due to its larger body size, allowing for more advanced microphone configurations and overall processing. That said, speech performance was more comparable in quieter listening situations. Now, what about that nuance related to Elehear and Elehear's Audiologist plan? Well, their recommended settings for a common age-related mild to moderate hearing loss offered significantly less amplification or gain than industry standards would recommend. This resulted in lower speech clarity and overall lower speech performance. So why would Elehear do that? Well, it's actually intentional, and it follows standard practices in hearing healthcare. That is, start with lower gain or training wheels to prioritize comfort and allow for acclimatization. Once you have become accustomed to those settings, the volume can be increased incrementally, offering you more speech benefits. But here's the key difference. With traditional care, there's built-in follow-up. With Elehear, that follow-up is up to you. So these lower starting settings leave meaningful performance improvements on the table. And unless you actively adjust or revisit the settings, you may never reach that full benefit. We'll touch on this more later, but let's listen to some audio files recorded in the HearAdvisor lab so you can hear how Delight performed in a typical cafe setting. You'll first hear the cafe environment without hearing aids, and then at both the initial and tuned fit. Again, in this case, for Delight, the initial and tuned settings were the same, so don't expect to hear any difference between those samples. As always, use headphones and keep your volume consistent for the best results.
Did you hear the news last night?
No, I must have missed it.
Looks like we're finally getting a break. I mean, it's supposed to be sunny all weekend.
Oh, yeah? Perfect timing. Maybe I can finally get out there and do some yard work.
Yard? My mind went to breaking out the grill.
Well, that too. The lawn isn't going to cut itself, and the bushes have gotten a little crazy.
I guess that's true. I mean, I've been putting off staining the deck, but this year may be the year.
Trees, bushes, deck. We'll just have to dream about the grill and the huge ice cold cooler.
Now let's listen to the stream quality. We'll start with the original unprocessed music track. Okay, let's put it all together. Overall, Delight lands firmly in the respectable OTC category. They provide solid amplification, a wide range of customizable features, and reliable day-to-day performance in my testing. I noticed some rough edges like slightly delayed app connections and the touch control quirks we discussed, but these need to be viewed in the context of a sub $400 hearing aid. So here are some key considerations. Delight performs best in quieter environments where it delivers relatively clean, high-frequency amplifications. In other words, improved clarity. While other devices may perform better for you in noise, Delight offers good value for the price. At around $329, this is one of the more affordable OTC options currently available. For comparison, Elehear Beyond Pro is closer to $599, with many other OTC hearing aids still sitting near that $1,000 price point. Another pro is that the earbud-style design feels current, and the feature set is surprisingly robust, including app controls, wireless audio, tinnitus maskers, and more. So Elehear has clearly invested in the app experience, and it shows. Now, what are some potential downsides you should consider? Well, while not poor, Elehear Delight's performance in noisier environments lags behind some other competitors, including Elehear's own Beyond Pro. It's also worth pointing out the shorter battery life. At 13.5 hours per charge, likely less in the real world, Delight may fall short of full-day use. Last up, I'd like to again discuss the Ele Pro or Audiologist plan route. This is not necessarily a con, so maybe it doesn't belong here at all, but this is an important shortcoming of nearly all OTC hearing aids. When settings prioritize listening comfort over speech clarity, the onus falls on you to troubleshoot and find settings that offer the best balance of comfort and speech performance. Without the guidance and proper testing, it is a bit of a guessing game. Maybe it's worth mentioning at this point that you can always take your OTC hearing aids and find a local provider to have them fit following more traditional audiological practices. The only difficulty there may be whether a practice in your area is willing to fit an OTC hearing aid. But if you've tried that in your area and had any luck, maybe let me know down below how that's worked for you. But really, that's it for today's video. If you want to learn more, you can check out my full written review at hearingtracker.com. And I guess if you are exploring other OTC options, you may want to check out my review of Apple AirPods Pro. They are a similar style device with a different feature set, though in the same price range. But thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.